without a secure connection. So anyway, we are not streaming on Twitter and X tonight. Some glitch when I hit the go live button. But anyway, I will upload the show to Twitter after the fact.
Well, dang, I look forward to getting my little Twitter notification because I always get it before you do.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it literally happened when I hit the go live button, so I don't have time to troubleshoot it without canceling the show. And well, you know, that would be bad.
Yeah, what the heck? We'll roll with it. I mean, Facebook it is.
Yeah,
And,
Facebook it is.
well, YouTube
Well,
and the
yeah,
like.
we're on YouTube. Yeah.
Anyway,
All
so
right.
what's
So you,
up?
well, you're gonna have to forgive me. You know, the last couple of days I've been kind of, my sinuses and allergies were pestering me. I pretty much got that squared away, and I was in overachiever mode and getting all this stuff done. And today it just seems like, I don't know. It seems like I'm juggling 1,000 different things and not juggling any of them well. Do you ever get that feeling, Mr. Lowry?
Dude, I get that feeling. It's every day of my life. I mean, the only problem I have is having torque converters crush my hand and having to determine whether I'm going to go get stitches or not. But
Oh,
you know
that's
what? I'm old school. I'll let it heal from the inside out. We'll see how it goes.
yeah, there you go. Okay, so Jessica Langley Maddox says watching no notification on Facebook. Well, Miss Jessica Langley Maddox, I got my notification on, well, you can't really see that, but that middle one there is my notification on Facebook. So, ha ha ha. Membership has its privileges. Well, I'm the tech guy in control of this, so I better get the notifications.
Well, I suspect tonight is going to be a low turnout night anyway, because they've got a big shindig going in Bossier tonight. Did you know, Rex?
I was not aware. I don't get invited to any kind of those big shindigs. What's going on?
Well, I mean, I don't get invited anymore either. I mean, that's fine. I don't care. I mean, actually, we probably did get an invitation, but it doesn't matter. So there is a lot of people, probably a lot of folks that watch our show. They'll be sitting at a table schmoozing with all of the important people and things like that. And, they'll have to catch us on replay after the fact. And that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I loosely term as the dog and pony shows. So what is going on?
Yeah.
Now I'm intrigued because I
Well,
literally didn't get an invite. Again, nobody invites
well,
me.
we're gonna talk about it when we come back. And hey, did you know that a city council candidate was challenged and deemed to not be qualified to run for office in Bossier today?
Uh-oh, I wonder who that could be. I mean, there's a double handful of candidates running. That's going to be interesting to see who that candidate was.
Well, when we come back and we dig into the details of the candidacies of multiple candidates, I mean, yeah, there was a complaint filed with the ethics board, and one of the candidates, they had a hearing today, and we'll show the results of that hearing, and they were deemed to be unqualified to run for office.
Hmm.
So
Well,
there's that.
that hadn't happened in a while. Well, there was a candidate a while back that had some issues. Jason Brown, friend of ours, was on the PEC. He had an issue while running for, what was it, mayor of Benton or something? I can't remember what it was, what office.
Oh, that's Mayor Bent. Did he run for Mayor Bent? I didn't know about that one. But
It wasn't mayor. It was some position. Maybe it was judge. He was going to run for judge or something. Anyway, it was a court case, and he lost a court case in the 26 JDC. But I digress.
yeah, well, this was in Baton Rouge with the ethics board. It was an interesting deal. There was a council meeting today, hence
Mm-hmm.
the show notice that you put out. That was pretty cool, I might add.
I
It looks
got a
like
couple of.
a bunch
I
of
actually got a couple of comments on that.
yeah, it looked like a bunch of stiffs in suits in a parking garage. I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
with
Hold
an
on a
electric
second.
vehicle charging
Yeah,
station.
before we go to the break, hold on. I'm gonna blow that up a little bit bigger. Well, maybe not. I guess I can't control. Oh, here we go. I gotta hit this button over here. Here we go. All right, let's blow this one up. Blast it. Y'all know.
Hey.
Anyway.
Even super techies have bad days. Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
it's okay. We all understand.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an EV charging station, and look, it almost looks like the boardwalk parking garage, and a bunch of politicians and bureaucrats laughing because it's paid by the tax dollars.
Why would you not laugh? I mean, but there's not a lot of laughing going on across the country, especially if you're a federal worker. I mean, Trump and Elon are just having a heyday of it.
It's been quite interesting, and just a whirlwind of executive orders and all sorts of things and lawsuits. And I mean, it's almost like Bossier City, just in a bigger way. Or Bossier City's like the federal government in just a smaller way.
So many things I could say to that. I mean, there's no Donald Trump in Bossier City. The closest to Donald Trump I think that we have is Brian Hambone Hammonds in Bossier City. And anyway, we'll talk about it when we come back, because anyway, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. Y'all know me. I'm real sensitive about hurting people's feelings and stuff. So
yeah.
I'll use this break for a pause so that I don't make anybody mad or rub anybody wrong, and we get complaints from the complaint department. You know how it is.
Oh yeah, somebody's always gonna complain. So anyway, all right. Well, what do you say we go to the break, and then we can come back and we'll talk about all these topics and things. How about that?
Let's do it.
Sound like a plan? All right. So I'm gonna hit the magic button. Let me get this stuff resized back to where it goes. Folks, y'all know the drill. Make sure and like and share, tag. We're going to give maybe some campaign updates, talk about the meeting this afternoon, a few other things and all that. And we want everybody to give your opinion in the comments as we were talking. I mean, we have our soapboxes here, but y'all know the drill. We don't really moderate the comments unless it's obvious trolling. Our only rule is keep it relatively civil. We don't want to have to ban anybody. Sound fair enough, Mr. Lowry?
I don't care. We can ban who we want to ban.
That's right. It's
but
our
still
show.
comment.
If you don't like it, go do your own show. All right.
I actually like it. I actually like it when people put controversial things in the comments, even the ones we don't agree with. I mean, I'm fine with it. Bring it.
Yeah, bring it on. All right. I'm going to hit this button so we can quit rambling. Folks, 3-minute countdown. Here we go. Like, share, tag folks, all that sort of good things. Send text messages, all that. We will be right back. Go make your drink and pop your popcorn. Here we go.
And some smoke signals.
A lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
And aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse.
Oh, folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Through conscious, shocking actions, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr. In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works.
This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go.
Now,
And here we
my
are.
wife is saying don't eat on the show, but yet our intro says grab your popcorn and a drink.
Well, that's supposed to be for everybody else.
I
Everybody
mean,
else
what
grab
kind
your
of
popcorn and
rules?
a drink.
But what kind of rules, or what are the rules worth if the host can't even abide or play by the rules that we're saying to everybody else?
Well, that's true. I guess I need to
I
make sure and look in the mirror here and make sure I don't have barbecue on me because I was trying to chomp down some Podna's barbecue right before the show when you text me to
I'm
remind me.
I'm thinking I need to go file a suit. This is like term limits, and I'm a city councilman. I need to go file a damn suit because this just ain't right. How
Law.
dare I be treated different than everybody else watching the show?
Speaking of different, there was, and I know we don't want to get into it yet. We got a few more things to talk about, but there was a difference in Darby today at the city council meeting. Did you detect that? Jeffrey Darby.
Okay. I don't really know Darby. So, except for back meeting with him at his office and another city councilman, to where they were informing me that if Low Walker didn't go along with them, they were going to cut his balls off and put him on a shelf. Uh, you know, he seemed different to me then. He seems different to me now. Nothing's changed for me. But what were you talking about, by the way?
Wait a minute, I got to gather my thoughts. I was not ready, folks. That comment was not in our notes at all. That
I
was off the
look.
cuff, truly off the cuff.
I'm just. You don't know everything and all history, but I'm just saying. Look, I've a lot of miles on this old body here in person. I've been in a few of these little things, and yeah. What you think, Elon
Oh no.
Musk and his guy, Big Balls? You see, Elon Musk changed his name.
Oh, did he?
Oh
Who was?
yeah.
Is this going to be an AC/DC song? Here we go. We're going to get booted off the platforms.
No. It ain't going to be an AC/DC song. But I tell you what, I'm not going to go there because anyway, Elon Musk did momentarily change his screen name. Y'all go look it up. But
Oh.
yeah, Darby was a different cat today. In fact, it's almost as if there's an election going on. Who knew?
Gosh, I know, between the pandering and almost salivating to salivating over Donald Trump until the Colonel got up there and had some choice comments, which were very good, by the way. But I'm getting ahead of myself, ahead of us. We're going to show
You're
that in a
right.
little
You're
bit.
right. Well, hey, I did tell y'all that there's a big shindig going on in Bossier tonight. All the important people, they're all there, and you know who got them all together?
There is no telling who did.
Lisa Johnson.
Oh, really? What are they doing?
Well, she is having a convention of bungee jumpers, down at the Horseshoe Casino
Oh,
to
okay.
advocate to getting bungee jumping in Bossier City.
Really? I'm
Yeah,
so
I put a link
jealous.
in our notes. I mean, it is the
Oh,
annual Bossier Chamber of Commerce shindig.
oh.
I
Well,
don't
I
know if it's
guess
a
I
big
need to.
fundraiser.
I guess, see, the last couple of shows I've been paying attention to notes and keeping them up and all that. And well, here I go tonight, back to my old way. So I did adjust my mic. Let me know if in the comments if that sounds better. Somehow my mic got turned down to about a quarter throttle. So let me know if that sounds better, everybody. All right. Yes,
Yeah, well, it
file
sounds
maker
good to
volume.
me.
Volume's down low. Charlie and Julie can't hardly hear me. Well, that could be a good thing. But let me know if it's a little better now. Greg Bell says much better. Okay. Enough of the tech stuff. Let's get to this Bossier Chamber thing. Let me see if I can do a screen share. Just a second on my end.
So So right now, as you're trying to pull this up, there's people at the Bossier Chamber event that they're sitting there on their phones, not listening to what they're saying up there on the stage, and they're sitting here looking at watching Bossier Watch right now, saying, "Hey, they're talking about the chamber thing that we're at right now." That's right, we are,
That's
guys.
right. So what is this
In fact,
2025 annual gala?
and just so y'all know that we have spies there that are taking pictures as we speak, so don't hold back.
Ooh,
Y'all have a good
ta-
time.
taking pictures of people watching the show at the shindig. That is next level.
Yeah, well, so I kind of baited y'all because the reason I bring this up, it's really not to talk about the Bossier Chamber or even Lisa Johnson.
Oh,
Um, that's not the purpose of this. But what is the purpose of it is to say, well, why are they having it at the Horseshoe? I mean, a lot of
oh
people may
yeah.
not have caught.
What about the live? Weren't they just jumping up and promoting the live deal not
Well,
long ago?
I don't think it's ready to go yet, but that's
Oh,
not the deal.
okay.
Normally, they have this at the Civic Center or the CenturyTel Center or whatever, but they're not having it this year at one of those. And
Really?
the question that everybody should be asking is why?
Okay. Why?
Thank you. Well,
I'll buy.
they I think the CenturyTel may have been booked up, but the Civic Center can't nobody have a deal there. And the why is because the health department has the kitchen shut down.
Wait. What? All right. First of all, we can't say CenturyTel Center, even though to me that sounds better. It's the Brookshire Grocery Arena. All that city money spent, well, I guess technically some of it comes from Brookshire's or whoever the title sponsor is, but it's the BGA. Now, but you got me intrigued.
You're you're
What's
right, and I like Brookshire's. Did you know that me and Kara and our kids were all in Brookshire's commercials a few years ago? Did you know that?
what were y'all doing? Were they like escorting y'all out or what happened?
Well, no, they were like filming like family get-togethers in the summer and all that stuff or whatever, and
Oh,
like,
okay.
and they made me like act like I had another wife. It was the craziest thing.
Oh, well, that is kind of odd. I thought maybe, yeah, it was an episode of Rowdy Rednecks from Benton or something. But
No, they were Brookshire's is all over, and like they were advertising. And anyway, we were like in all the commercials. It was pretty cool. I can't believe you didn't say it.
okay.
But anyway, no, the kitchen, the
Anyway,
health
back.
department shut the kitchen down, and they can't have any events there unless they have to serve food, unless they have a caterer that can come and do all the cooking and the warming. They have to be able to be independent from the kitchen, as I appreciate the situation over there. I don't know exactly what the problem is. Maybe we need to send a request to the health department to find out exactly. But yeah, that's the deal. They were shut down. And if that's not enough, that they were shut down from the health department, apparently they don't even have a PA system. So
At the
the
Civic
PA
Center?
system is broke. Yeah, the PA system is broke. And if you want to have an event and have a microphone and talk to everybody, you're just going to have to scream real loud because they ain't got one.
Well, you can go to Sam's and buy those, little ones for $400 or $500 that actually do pretty good. That's what we use when we do fishing tournaments out there and on the deck of a boat and broadcast it across the lake. See, problem solved.
But you know what I'm wondering? What
What?
I'm wondering is that if they're still paying the fire chief to run the civic center over there and paying that big lump sum salary, maybe the firemen, maybe y'all can all tell us whether or not that's still the case or not. I mean, I don't know.
Well, the cynical person in me wants to say we're still paying over $200,000 for our two local, I hate to call them attorneys, with all the bad legal advice they've done and potentially led the city council into committing malfeasance in office. I mean, we're still paying those guys. Why not pay to have the Civic Center run even though it's not working? It's a consistent theme in Tommy's administration. Well, I shouldn't really blame it on Tommy, but it is his administration, and he did hire those morons. The morons being the lawyers, not the people at the Civic Center.
Well, here's the thing. Come after this election, and after this election, when you get a new council, there's no more excuses. There's no more excuses. The excuse wagon is going to be gone after this. And all I know is that Tommy better tighten up and he better fix all the problems. He better do the audit that he suggested he was going to do. And I'm not talking about some cherry picked audit. I mean, it needs to be the real deal. And he better get to cleaning up Bossier. I mean, he's had a pass. He's been able to hang his hat on all the old guys. He's limited. He ain't going to have that this time. That's going to be done.
Yeah, I agree. Because look, a lot of people are paying attention in Bossier City. Did you know that? A lot of people are paying attention to politics. There is no doubt about that now.
I think so, but I'm cautiously optimistic that people are paying attention. I mean, I acknowledge I see the indications, but like we always say, we live in a bubble and we have a skewed perspective. Like, I mean, we say it all the time. So yeah, I see that, but I'm cognizant of that fact.
Well, I get it. So, I was trying to segue into showing off some of the stats from Bossier term limits, but I guess my little gadgets here are not going to play nicely tonight. So, anyway, I'll just put it this way. Wait, I think I got one stat in. I'll just put it this way. Did you know that the Bossier term limits views were up to 48,108 in the last 28 days? Our engagement was up 7,800 times. That's about a 397% increase on Bossier term limits. Did you know that?
I did not know that. And you know how I don't know that?
How would that be?
Because I'm not on the Bossier term limit stuff anymore.
Oh, well, that is a good safety point, because you are being a little politically active. So that's, a good thing, I guess.
In full disclosure to everyone watching this show, I am helping one of the candidates in one of the races. I'm proud to do so, and I think their why is just, and I think they're doing it for a good reason. And I was asked to help, and I am doing that. I am a volunteer, and so I stepped away from the Bossier term limit stuff, and while I'm participating in this campaign. But when that's over with, I'll be right back.
Well, you should have some good walking shoes after the enormous amount of walking you and the colonel and everybody else did for the petition. So you ought to be in good shape for helping with campaigns.
Yes, sir. Definitely. All right. So what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so I finally got my technology to work. But anyway, this is just some if I can talk tonight, this is just some stats. And as you can see, the Bossier term limits content that we've been sharing out, all those radio shows and all that we've been putting out there, and all that has been well received, because again, it's up 17,000% from the previous 28 days, with 48,000 views, over 7,000, nearly 7,800 engagement. That's up 388,000% from the last 28 days. Folks are paying attention now that election season is here. Starting to gain a few followers. But the followers don't do justice to how much the content is actually being viewed. That article or video transcription that we did of the article that Wes wrote is somewhere around 4,700 organic views. So, with all that said,
wow,
again, people are paying attention. And right around election season, that's a good thing. And we give a lot of people credit for that, including the people watching.
Yeah, I mean, and if it wasn't for Hal and our other friend Jeff,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
what would Bossier have done?
I know. None of this, I mean, just couldn't have done this. They've attended all those meetings and got up and spoke so much and got everybody riled up every Tuesday night and been walking lots of neighborhoods and doing all that sort of thing. I just don't know what would have happened without them.
Don't know. Well, anyway, so there's been some developments regarding some of the candidates and some of the races here in Bossier. Um, Specifically, I said earlier that one candidate, there's one race, and we'll talk about it, Cliff Smith's race down there. He
Mm-hmm.
had two other opponents that qualified, and one still in the race, but one in that race has been disqualified. He had Charles Gray and Donzel Hughes in that
Mm-hmm.
race.
Okay.
A lot of folks may not be paying attention or whatever, but what I would tell you is that within I don't know, maybe it was the first of the week, or maybe it was Friday or Thursday or Friday or something. I really don't know because I've not seen the filing or the charge that was filed. But what I do know is an attorney out of Baton Rouge made a complaint or filed a complaint with the ethics board against Charles Gray.
Okay.
Now, I mean, I like Charles Gray. He was a police juror, and Charles helped on the term limit stuff. I mean,
Right.
he got signatures, and I think the world of Charles Gray. But as it would turn out, I mean, there were uh, complaints made in regards to, as I appreciate it, um, past campaign finance fines and filings, meaning that his, reports were not either filed entirely or filed late, and that he had, fine. Now, it's not, Rex, it's not hard to get crossed with the ethics board. In fact, I mean,
Oh, it's
it
not.
is, it, it's insanely ridiculous with the way
Been
the
there and
ethics
done that.
reporting is.
Yeah, been there and done that. And look, hey, the governor himself has been crossways with the ethics board, and didn't they put some legislation forward to try to reform or rearrange the ethics board?
I don't know, but what I would say is, and I would tell, I mean, I would tell anybody when you're dealing with the ethics board, when you call them, you should record your conversation. I mean,
Yes, you
you should,
should.
whatever communication you get from them, you should record it and or email the question, get it in writing, the response. You better document it, because I can tell you there is a long history of people who have gotten verbal recommendations and directions, and then it ends up a complaint's filed, or they find themselves in a position and the ethics board said, no, we didn't say that. And
Yeah.
well, yeah, you most certainly did. And ask me how I know. Been there,
Yeah.
done that myself too.
Yeah, I think everybody has. So, in the case to Mr. Gray, and again, we both think the world of Mr. Gray, so this isn't really to slam him. He may not have realized it. I don't know, but apparently this is the minutes of the transcript for the hearing or whatever that they held down there. And he was, let's see, he was no, or he is no longer qualified to run for the position of City Councilman District 3 in Bossier City. Um, the court will file the judgment by February 12th. Court adjourns. So, blah, blah, blah. So, Mr. Gray is out of the race officially, right?
He is out of the race. Now, the interesting thing about those minutes is that if you read in there, it actually, and I know it's just the way that it is, it lists Jill Sessions as a defendant. I mean,
Uh,
I
oh,
thought that was
yeah.
pretty interesting.
Well, let's see. Would defendant Jill Sessions, who was present, maybe it's because I don't know how that works, the process, because I think if I remember right, at the top of the qualifying form or on the qualifying form, it says that if you have any outstanding issues with the ethics board, you're not qualified to run or whatever the disclaimer on that is. maybe she actually was there because she qualified or, you know, or did her part in the qualification of the candidates, including Mr. Gray. So maybe she had to testify. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, or
Yeah.
but that caught my attention. I just seems odd to me, but
Yeah.
either
I mean,
way.
nothing
So
against Jill on that end, because I don't think her job, I don't think, is to, you know, go do the due diligence on all the candidates and make sure they're actually qualified and have residence where they're supposed to and all that. I don't.
right. So with Mr. Gray out, that leaves Donzel Hughes and Cliff Smith in the race. So
Well, and
some
look,
people's choice,
full
some
disclosure.
people's choice not to endorse is going to result in a black eye for them, and you know who you are.
Yeah. And full
Go
disclosure, of
ahead.
course, we think the world of Mr. Cliff Smith. He's a good guy. He's been a solid term limit supporter. He watches the show regularly, attends a lot of the city council meetings, and we are not unbiased on this show. We are very biased, so we're pulling for Mr. Smith. But I see something here in the notes about Don Zell. Shall we show that next?
Yeah, let's go there because this is probably why I'm going to support. Well, I mean, look, Donzel is a Democrat. I'm a Republican. Cliff Smith's a Republican, so it would automatically be there. But this right here was sent to us, and I didn't know that. I didn't know all of this history, and
Hmm.
but apparently
I didn't
Mr.
either.
Hughes has a history that he was arrested, and I think that he was convicted of. I've never heard of this battery of a dating partner.
This is the most
Um,
interesting thing about this to me. Not that he's running for office and got charged and
yeah,
possibly convicted. What the hell is battery of a dating partner? What?
I, I I
Somebody
don't know.
explain
That
this
has
to
piqued.
me.
Yeah, that's piqued my interest. I've never heard of that.
I mean, you've got
I
assault and
mean,
battery or battery or whatever. Why is it battery of a dating? What the hell does it matter if you were dating them or not? I mean, why is that law there? Why is it not just assault and battery? Battery of a dating partner.
yeah, I don't get it either. So I mean, but look, hey, I mean, Donald Trump was a felon. Okay, um,
It's
so
still technically still is.
I mean, and he was accused of what was he accused of? Was he accused of rape and E. Jean Carroll thing and all that crap? But
Raping
look,
and pillaging, and I think he was probably killing babies, and I don't know what all what all he's
oh,
been charged
he was
with.
he was eating them. It was a 4-course dinner at Mar-a-Lago. I mean,
Yeah,
good grief. But
we'll be going off the air shortly, folks, as they cut us off the platform. But anyway,
yeah, but look, he's got Jeff Darby supporting him now, so he's in the clear. He's made it.
yeah, Jeff
Yeah,
Darby supporting Trump, not Donzel Hughes.
so whenever this was sent to us, there's a couple more. I mean, if you go to cut 4, which I found this one pretty interesting.
Oh yeah,
Um,
the Walker one. I want to look
yeah,
at so just an interesting shot. I mean, battery of a dating partner, and then, well, doing the fist bump deal.
yeah.
I,
Well, but the interesting thing is you got Low Walker standing there to his right. I mean, so that was obviously an old picture, part
well,
of
it
the old
sure is,
guard.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's Low Walker to the right, and but interestingly, to the left, you got Officer McGee. Now, McGee was the one and he probably still is, that allegedly, in which, look, I knew McGee. I worked with McGee down there, and I always thought he was a good officer. Just my experience and interaction with him, he did a good job. He was tough, and um, no way of knowing, but allegedly they say that he was messing with underage girls for something dating back into the 90s.
Mm.
I don't know if that's true or not or whatever, but he, you know, He was gotten.
Squirrel moment here, but mentioning that, I have to ask this. Has anybody seen this Preds versus Prey Facebook page and channel? Now, I don't want to delve way off into that, but I'm just saying, it's straight up Jerry Springer stuff as far as the as far as the little kids situations. I'm just saying. All right, sorry, Duke. That's a squirrel moment. And silence was upon us as I have shocked Duke into submission and a loss for words.
I have not submitted. I just getting feedback.
Oh, well,
So-
yeah, that should be interesting. Turn your mic
Yeah.
up. My mic is up. All right,
Yeah,
I'm
I
adjusting
don't get
again.
that.
I'm adjusting again. Here we go. Yeah, my mic is up. Yeah, I mean, I'm like bumping yellow and into the red, but I'm going to turn it up a little more just because. All right. And let me just adjust it a little bit closer. Maybe that's it. I don't know. All right. Anyway,
So
back to the show.
So here's what's interesting. You've got endorsements and you've got those kinds of things going on, right? And the fire union has their meeting the other night to consider endorsements, and they've started putting their endorsements out, right?
Okay.
Well, in the race with Cliff Smith, and this one in particular, they didn't endorse nobody.
Oh.
Stayed out of it.
Okay.
Stayed out of it. And now they didn't endorse anybody, and they got Cliff Smith and they got Donzel, who has a past arrest record.
Well, that's interesting. Well, are you wanting me to pull up the video?
The video.
Yes.
The video.
We are just not in sync tonight, folks.
No, we're
the video
not. We're not.
Where the candidates spoke. Excuse us, we're complete amateurs as usual.
Yeah, well, I'm still sitting here thinking of whether or not to go down that road. But let's go ahead and let's jump to let's go ahead and jump to the council meeting, because I think we need to let's cover Darby's now his love fest with Donald Trump. And not to mention that just 4 months ago, he was sending letters to Joe Biden saying, hey, bring more illegals. We want them. We need more illegal. He was the only person and only elected official in Louisiana to do so. But now today, he's putting resolutions forward praising Donald Trump for sending all the illegals back home. And
I'm so confused as to his positions on this.
Well, he's not the only one. Vince Maggio. Anybody want to tag?
I'll go ahead.
Hey, I'm hearing myself. If anybody wants to tag Vince, I'm going to be talking about him in just a minute, because apparently he's just like Darby. It depends on the audience as to what he's going to say. I mean, and he flip-flops on his positions, and neither one of these guys, they don't deserve to be reelected. They don't deserve to be reelected. And how anybody could endorse these two guys is beyond me. It's beyond me.
Well, what we need to do is, we need to put out some campaign information on Darby. That solves the problem, or helps solve the problem. And I say that because, on several of the Bossier Watch posts lately, I've been posting the candidates that we recommend, and obviously we don't make any bones about it. We like them, including Chris Smith, Creighton Cochran, Cliff Smith, Miss Deborah Ross, and of course Ruth Pope Johnson. Who else did I leave off of there? I'm leaving somebody off. Anyway, so we posted a list of those and then what districts they're in and all that. And I think that's pretty helpful to folks. So maybe we need to do a laundry list of Mr. Darby.
Well, I can tell you, I made several phone calls to people in Darby's district this week, and they had no idea that he sent a letter to President Biden on the refugee program, asking him to expand it, aka bring more illegals. They had no idea. But
No
what
idea.
they do know is he's an independent and not a Democrat, an independent. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? He he is trying to deceive Republican voters in that district that he's some kind of moderate. He's not a moderate.
No,
He's
he's
not a
not.
moderate at all. And you know, look, Miss Ross, she door knocked to get signatures for term limits. She's opposed to that illegal immigration refugee program. I mean, but she's a registered Democrat. So Republicans in that district, if they're voting party lines, and let's face it, Republicans, just like Democrats, they get in this mindset where they can't pull a lever for a Democrat or a Republican, vice versa. But in this race, you've got somebody that's been in there for over 30 years that has been seizing on that. Darby's no dummy. No one should think that Jeff Darby is not smart. He is a smart man. He's a very intelligent man.
Well, look, he's been in there, been in office basically since I graduated high school. Literally, like 89. That's the year I graduated. I mean, nobody has been in there that long and not be politically savvy. Now, it would be interesting to go back and see who he had. I think there was one gap where he had a 4-year gap or something, but it would be interesting to go back, and we could do it pretty easy, and see who his opposition was throughout the years. Maybe he's like Free and some of the others, no real opposition, so it just gets it handed to him.
Yeah, gets it handed to him. But the most egregious thing was today at the council meeting and him trying to pass this resolution to support Trump, like he supports Donald Trump and the illegal immigration thing. I mean, and if you're a Democrat and you hate Trump, well, there you need to know he's done switched sides. He's not with you anymore. He's now with Trump today, but he was all for. If you're a Republican and you love Trump, well, you need to know he's trying to deceive you to make you think he's with Trump.
It's
if
so
he
confusing.
if he can have it both ways, well, why can't we have it both ways? He's playing both sides, and we're just trying to show everybody that he's trying to do it. I mean, his words today in this resolution, it was the most egregious pandering I've ever seen. I mean,
I
we
agree.
got to play it.
All right, so do you want to play his letter first, or shall we just start kind of from the beginning and let Cassie and all of them run rush on? I'll tell you what. Let's jump. Let's jump ahead. Hold on. Let's jump ahead to Darby, where he basically starts out preaching and talks about his Trump proclamation, and the Colonel did a masterful job today of weaving in the immigrant letter and Alice Boy. All right, so let me switch screens. And folks, you all listen up because this is pretty good. Let me make sure I got everything adjusted here, so hopefully we can all hear it pretty good on our end. All right, here we go.
The Bible says in Psalms 10:16, the Lord is king forever and ever. It's something that we have in common with President Trump, the men who are seated on this panel, is that we all have been elected, and we have been elected by the people to serve. We may not agree with everything someone does who is elected, but we can celebrate the fact that they choose to be a public servant. And I can appreciate the things that the president is going to do. And my Bible says that we are to pray for those who are in leadership. So I pray that we
he's gotten that lesson good to beat the Bible in an election.
Of the city,
Yeah.
Mr. Mike Johnson. I hope that he will share our congratulations with the president. And going forward, I would suggest every person pray for the president. Thank you so much.
See, I can't, before we get to the Colonel, I can't tell whether he's saying that to be slightly sarcastic, passive aggressive, or if he truly means that. I mean, he did sign on to that immigrant letter as a Bossier city councilman. I mean, you can't have it both ways because Trump's been kicking them back over the wall right and left.
It's the same case with Vince. Do you believe me right now during the course of an election, what I'm saying? Or do you believe what I said before there was an election? You know, I mean, right now there's an election. He's making these comments and taking this action during an election that he has a challenger. Vince made comments and you know, before when there was not no election, and now he's making comments while there is an election. Which one do you believe?
Yeah,
Which
I
one
can't.
should you believe?
I don't know whether to call him a chameleon, a snake, a weasel. I mean, all those things come into play, or well, just another typical
Well, you can't
politician.
you can't say anything because he's quoting scripture. You can't say anything. So if you
No, no,
say
no, 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 no,
anything,
no, no, no.
if you
Let's
say anything,
see.
you're attacking a godly man. You're attacking his faith.
No, 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 no. Was it John 2:14 where Jesus flips over the tables for the money changers? The heck, I can't say anything. Literally, do like Jesus does. Flip the tables over, which is what we and the Colonel and Cassie and Alice Boyer and Ryan Haygood and everybody in between, Cliff Smith, everybody watching, everybody attending the meetings, everybody commenting, emailing your councilman. That's what we've been doing. We are literally flipping over the tables collectively of the money changers, people. You want to get biblical? There we go.
Yeah. All right, carry on.
Here we go. All right, so Colonel, you're up.
Mr. Silver. Council, do you have any other comments or questions? All right.
Public comment. David Crockett, 653 Domain Drive, Bossier City, Louisiana. Nicely said. Donald Trump staged the greatest American political comeback in the history of the country. He thwarted the efforts to use lawfare to obstruct the will of the people. He demonstrated the fighting spirit of Cassie Mae Rogers and Ruth Pope Johnson here locally. Trump rescinded the policies of the Biden administration that invited illegal immigrants into communities like Bossier City. And he addressed the issue of false asylum claims that cost American citizens jobs, competed for local services, and make it more difficult for our citizens to get medical services. In honor of my friend Alice Boyer, I'm hoping, and I appreciate your words, but I'm hoping that you'll rescind the public invitation for people who are illegal in our community to come to Bossier City, and I think that that's it. Once we say that that was not the right policy, it's certainly against this administration's, then we can move on beyond that. But anyway, thank you very much, and it was a very nice resolution.
Way to go, Colonel. Way to get Alice's name in there and that dadgum blasted illegal immigrant petition letter thing he signed onto that they won't speak about.
Yeah, good job, Colonel. I mean, I don't know how someone could have said what was said more eloquently than the way he just said it. I mean, it was just like so nice, polite. Yeah. I couldn't have done it.
It was a little passive aggressive, more on the passive side, a little less on the aggressive, but good job, Colonel. All right, so I'm going to back up the meeting here. I don't want to go through the whole, they were celebrating, I guess, Black History Month, and it was kind of nice that they acknowledged Lewis Johnson's accomplishments. Lewis Johnson's the public information officer, and I got to say, Lewis has been exceedingly nice to me, and I think you also, Duke, and has always been very accommodating. So I really didn't know some of the I didn't know or realize that Lewis was a past firefighter, I guess, for the Shreveport Fire Department.
Yeah, he did. He retired from Shreveport. I think he after being on the line, I think he went to fire prevention, and then I think become like a public information officer over there. Yeah, he had a good career over there. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. This is Cassie up to bat. Here we go.
Those were such beautiful presentations. I'm sorry if this ruins it. Cassie Rogers, Bossier City, Louisiana, 7/11/12.
No, you're not.
I noticed that last week's agenda had the letter for President Trump. That's not on this agenda today. Today, the Federal Secrets Declassification Task Force, starting with the first 3 major sanctuary cities, they're going to have to report all of the illegal immigrants in the cities. It will come down to us. We've asked before about the President Joe Biden letter, and we haven't received it yet. We haven't talked about it. We don't understand what's going on in our city, and I have a feeling somebody's going to be looking into Mike Johnson's district.
Ms. Rogers, I'm sorry for the interruption, but you're saying the President Trump's not on there? It's number 10 under new business.
Okay, I apologize. So we've seen the President Trump one, the Jimmy Carter one, but we can't see the Joe Biden one. That's really what my point was to that. Also,
good recovery.
It has been brought to my attention that one of the council members who are running for re-election has also claimed that they are the first author of the sign topper to honor first responders. Still haven't seen anything on that. Also, the Don Johnson one has not been on the agenda, nor has it been voted on. We're not doing anything as far as everything that we're doing with this is in direct violation of the city charter. If there's an ordinance, the ordinance has to go through and pass. Certain amount of days have to be before the ordinances are good. Signs are going up. We don't know where this first responder one is, but we now have 2. So if we're going to keep directly going against the charter, we may as well, y'all just need to stay out of it, because what you're doing is you're breaking the law. And
does everybody
stop them?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Does everybody realize what Cassie's alluding to right there? If you hadn't been keeping up in the last several weeks or last month or so, not only have they broken the law or violated the law, the city charter, of course, on the term limits and the petition specifically, and defied judges' orders and all that, they're not even following their own ordinances on this sign topper thing and naming of streets and all that. They're not even following their own law on that, their own ordinances.
I don't think they care, because I think they don't have to worry about being held accountable for anything.
No, they just keep on keeping on. All right, here we go.
And also saw on someone's push card, Nehemiah 6:3, that talks about coming down from, not being able to come down from the mountain to build the wall in Israel. I think it's time for you to come down from building the wall and do the work of the people.
And I would like to point out, as I did on one of the comments, Nehemiah was talking to his enemies in those passages. So does Darby think we're his enemies by quoting that? I mean, a lot of people misquote the Bible or misconstrue it for their purposes. Literally, he was talking to his enemies. So is that the way Darby views us? He probably does, you and I, but I mean, collectively, the citizens of Bossier City.
Yeah, he only cares about him being able to retain his position of power, and that's it. I mean, that's what it's about. If he actually cared, he would step out of the way. He would get out of the way. He wouldn't, if the people said that they wanted retroactive term limits and petitioned, he wouldn't stand in the way and obstruct it. He would allow it to go forward and let the citizens have a vote. I mean, for what other purpose would he not allow the citizens to say what they wanted in that regard? Is he scared that they would say something that doesn't benefit him? I think he views everybody in Bossier City as his enemy.
Probably so. So Colonel Crockett did a great summarization of the term limits. I'm not going to play that tonight because I'm actually going to post that as its own standalone video. I'll probably do it as a reel and all that sort of thing as well. Let's jump to Cassie again, because Cassie was on a roll today. Here we go.
Louisiana 7/11/12. This could have been over a long time ago. so much has happened since you guys voted no the first time. I don't see the point in voting yes today for y'all. However, if you vote yes today, it'll go on the May ballot, which will initially or intentionally, I guess, I'm not sure, get the vote out for the actual real term limits. I do hope that everybody votes no in March and yes in May, and I hope that we have a brand-new council sitting here come July. Please stop saying you're for term limits. Term limits means there's a limit to it, not a limit, and then you can go back and forth and back and forth. Term limits means there's an end to it. There's a limit. Stop saying you're for it if you're not. The only thing you're doing is exposing yourselves. The lies and deceit and manipulation to the taxpayers of Bossier City is over with. We've exposed you. You're done.
Drop the mic.
That
was pretty good.
You're done.
You're done. Drop
You're
the
done
mic.
line. That was the Jeff Free line to West Marriott. Remember that?
Right. Oh yeah,
meeting?
you're done. Yeah.
You're done.
All right. So then, jumping forward, Colonel Crockett mentions the Darby water rate vote and study. This was pretty good.
Short comment. David Crockett, 653 Dumaine Drive, Bossier City, Louisiana. During the vote on the water rate study, Mr. Darby was the only one who voted against the rate study, correct? Mr. Darby? It was explained that the water rate increase was required because DEQ would stop water grants to Bossier City. The issue I have is that Mr. Darby's campaign is spreading the perception that 6 out of 7 of the city councilmen wanted the water rate increase as if it were optional. The way I perceive the facts provided by Ms. Nottingham very clearly was it would be irresponsible for the city not to vote for the raises because the state's mandate. I hope the councilman, including Mr. Darby, will address this issue today for the public because there's a misperception. It's on Mr. Darby's Facebook. Mayor, I hope you'll make the water rate study that drove the water rates higher available to the public, or if I have to do a public information request, I'll do that. But I believe that's misinformation, and I'd like to hear from some of the councilmen. Did you support the water rate study because it was responsible, or because you just wanted the rates to increase? That's what it's perceived as by Mr. Darby's Facebook.
Good point, Colonel. Bravo on that. Did you support it because you wanted to, or because it was mandated? Did you want to do the increase, or was it mandated? You can't have your cake and eat it too, Darby.
I was trying to, because I have some of Darby's his push cards and the stuff he's putting out there. I have it in there anyway, but that's neither here nor there. We can keep moving on past that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, Colonel.
Well, you know what? Hold on just a second. Hold on. Let's show what the Colonel's referring to real quick. So this is some of Darby's information here. I think we showed this last show before last, but he says he's the only councilman who fought and voted against a 2% water and sanitation increase. He spent District 2 on streets, sidewalks, and projects. $2 million. We covered this last show. So that's what they're referring to right there. Okay.
Yeah, but he voted for Man Shack's, what was it, 33% increase. He voted for the water line to the port. I mean, and if I do remember correctly, the king of the council said himself, if we do this, we won't ever have to raise water rates in Bossier City again.
Yeah,
well, lo and behold, guess what? Bossier City,
yeah,
you got water rate increase.
Water rates are going up. All right, so there was a little exchange here, not a little one, about this. Well, there's some traffic problems apparently in Green Acres Boulevard. So let's go to this. This is about Green Acres Boulevard in the Green Acres area and some stop signs and whatnot. And we'll get to, I believe that's Lisa or Sarah Price. But anyway, here we go.
Okay, if you notice, like Green Acres Place Boulevard and Innovation Drive open, we're having 3,200 some cars a day travel that. And that's a 7-day, that's 24-hour study, 7 days a week. But that's how many cars travel Green Acres Place Boulevard. And they speeding down there 50, 60 miles an hour, 40. I mean, if you sit on the front porch, you think you're on I-20. It's getting really bad up there. This is Ms. Price right here.
Just state your name and address, please.
Sure. I'm Sarah Price. I live at 357 Green Acres Boulevard. That's on the northeast corner of Green Acres Boulevard and Fairmont Drive. And actually, Vince, I believe you told me that traffic count number was from 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me just back up a little bit, if I may.
I'm
going to just refer
to
to the street as the boulevard. We've lived in our house for 10 years. The boulevard has always been a cut-through between Benton Road and Airline Drive. The speed limit's 25, of course, because it's a neighborhood. Speeding has always been an issue. I've talked to the police department. I've gone down there, and they try to help when they can.
So I'm going to pause right there. When I lived over on Sheck's Drive, oddly enough, Sheck's Drive was a cut-through from Patricia to Barksdale Boulevard right there across the tracks because it's a straight line, quarter mile. It was basically a drag strip. So a few complaints were made. Bossier PD came out there on 2 different occasions. And they actually sat behind our neighbor's fence, a couple of motorcycle cops. We were taking them sweet tea to drink and water and all that. They wrote like 90-something speeding tickets in the first few hours of the first day. It was insane. And people eventually started to slow down.
Yeah, they do. But the chief had a pretty good response. Chief of police had a pretty good response to this after they had a lot of debate. He came up there and he said, look, he said, we'll go in there. He said, we'll write a few tickets. The residents will catch on and they'll all slow down. He said,
Right.
but then he said, it'll be out of town people that every now and then, he said, will come through. He said, they may come through one time. We stop them, we write them a ticket. He said, it won't be the same people every time. It'll be different people every time. He's like, so it's not foolproof in us just coming in there
Right.
doing that. It slows it down temporarily. To which Hammond spoke, and Hammond said, hey, I didn't like it either, but we had a similar problem in Sobo. We put up a stop sign, and it significantly changed things.
Right.
So he was kind of, I feel like, advocating for it.
Well, let's listen to Halligan talk about that for just a second.
We have put speed signs out, on occasions. They don't sit there a week, 10 days, and then we're having to move them to other places. But the problem that you see in areas like that is a lot of time it's come and go traffic. If you sit there and you work that and you start getting the residents of the neighborhood, well, they know. But the people that are coming down Benton Road trying to cut over, the minute we're gone, they never knew that we were there. And so, that's what we call come and go, and they're just going to continue to do it. So.
All right. So the gist of this.
I'm curious. Has nobody, why have they not told everybody that they've got an overpass that they can take to where they can go drive by a monument? How many millions of dollars did we spend?
They could take the scenic route, literally drive round and round the monument, round and round. And look at all the signs. Look at their names up there. Look at Darby's name up there on the Tower of Tax Dollars. All right, let's jump ahead. So there was some discussion back and forth on that, but let's jump ahead to this EV charging station because I've got a few minutes of a soapbox to get on about this. And there was a pretty good exchange about fires and who's a fireman and who's not. So here we go. Let me jump ahead. And let's listen to Phyllis read the ordinance for this.
Ordinance to appropriate $80,000 from the Boardwalk Capital Fund for the purchase and installation of 2 EV charging stations at the Boardwalk Parking Garage. First reading.
So moved.
Second.
All right, y'all heard that. 2 EV charging stations at the Boardwalk, spending $80,000 on it. Now, I'll start my little tirade with this. I'm absolutely for electric vehicles. Period. I'm not opposed to electric vehicles at all. Do I think the grid can handle it right now? Not if everybody switched to EVs. Do I think EVs are the solution to everything that ails us right now? No, but I think they are a coming thing. And having EV charging stations is not in itself a bad thing. I have a problem with the city doing it. Did nobody even think about that?
Well, I don't. If I understood this correctly, it was grant money from the state, which is probably grant money from the federal government, which is probably grant money that Elon is probably going to be cutting off very soon.
But it
So-
all originates from tax dollars. This is not free money that just magically, well, except for the Federal Reserve printing it, but other than that, it's not money that magically just proliferates out of thin air.
I agree. Why would you consider spending money like this on this when you've got illegal aliens to take care of? I mean, I don't get it.
That's true. Hey, Ryan Haygood brings up a good...
They need hotel rooms in the most posh apartments in New York City while people in North Carolina drown and people in California burn. I mean, we got to take care of these illegal aliens, okay?
Yeah, so...
I mean, don't take my word for it. Ask Jeff Darby. I mean,
look, Haygood brings up a good point, which is one of the points I brought up. The boardwalk's basically empty anyway. So, and Haygood says car manufacturers will bypass electric for hydrogen. Electric is a waste. Yeah, just like the train industry bypassed electric to go to hydrogen. But no, that's not the case. Trains are electric. Diesel generators.
What Barry Butler right there? Why not put them at the CNG stations? Y'all know those
ding 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 ding.
Those money pits that Darby and David and Jeffrey and all of those guys. Why don't that money boondoggle? Why don't they just put them there?
All right,
double down on it.
Let's listen to Amanda for a second, then I'll get more into my real issue with this.
EQ to install these charging stations. That was in the works prior to me coming on board, so we have since finalized it, but it does have to be on city-owned property. The proximity of that with I-20 and I-49 helps create the EV corridor where they look to have charging stations throughout major interstate highways, and so that location was part of the reason. In addition to it being protected from the elements, we felt like that was very secure for it.
All right, so I'm going to stop right there because Hammonds is about to mention fire. Your lovely bride is mentioning fire. Let me just say this. Y'all do realize gasoline cars catch on fire quite frequently as well, right? Okay. But the second, now, granted, the lithium does burn a little hotter and is harder to control. But here's the problem I have. It's not the fire issue. Why is the city providing electricity for something that should be a private industry? Tesla, GM, Ford, pick your electric car company that's doing this. Why is the city getting in this? Are they getting a special rate from SWEPCO? Where's the revenue that they're going to generate from the charging? Because charging is not free. Electricity, surprise, surprise, ain't free unless you put up your own lightning rod and try to catch lightning bolts.
Well, here's the other thing, and this doesn't necessarily have to be an electric vehicle as well, but the problem with some vehicles when you get into parking garages and things like that are that, like, you can't put it out with water. You know, cars that are manufactured with magnesium in them, when the magnesium catches on fire, when you put water on it, the fire expands, it gets bigger. So, and a lot of these electric vehicles, they're so new, the components, are not readily known on all of them, and they're changing daily. And I'll be honest with you, my time has passed as a fireman, but I would find it hard to believe that some of these electric vehicles didn't have a large magnesium component in the manufacturing process of them. I would be shocked.
Well, but
so
look,
you got to fight it different.
But I got to point out, Haygood already said in the comments, which was, a good segue into all this, isn't the boardwalk basically abandoned anyway? There's not many people in that parking garage, and that parking garage is largely, wait for it, concrete.
Yeah, that's right. I think they should put the charging stations in front of Maggio Grocery. That's what I think.
Bingo. I think that's a grand idea, Duke. You've solved the whole problem.
Community development, right there.
All right. Ding, 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 ding. So Barry Butler says, why isn't SWEPCO putting up stations? Because they're not profitable. Rusty Maddox says, will these be free to use like the 30 amp stations at Walker Park by Brusher Arena? They might be free to use, but they're, again, remember everybody, they're not free. I understand what you're saying, Rusty. But let's remember, electricity generation ain't free, at least not now.
Well, we'll get to the part where the king speaks. Because
okay,
this whole meeting, these guys were clammed shut. They wasn't talking about nothing. It's almost as if they were still operating on the same rules from the last meeting that don't respond. They're going to try to get you to say something. Just don't say nothing. They was on lockdown.
All right, so yeah, we'll get to the lead in to the Queen speaking is this exchange between Hammonds and Chris Smith. Here we go.
Say there's a car charging down there, car catches on fire, something like that, or the charging station messes up a car. Who's liable for that?
That would be, there's going to be a warranty period on, I believe it's 3 years on the charging stations. And then beyond that, I would assume it would go to, I guess, potentially our.
Well, I mean, the only reason I'm asking, I saw a while back, I think it was in Bossier on 220, the fire department trying to put an electric vehicle car fire out. And I think it would have taken all the water in the Red River to put it out. That's the only thing that concerns me. Once the boardwalk does start having more and more people down there, one of those cars catches on fire.
Hold on a minute. I don't know, Brian, think you're the greatest bull in the china closet ever for the city council, and I mean that with all sincerity. But what makes you think the boardwalk's got some magical comeback? That's like saying, almost like saying Pierre Bosier's going to make a comeback. I mean, y'all, don't get me wrong. I like the boardwalk area. I go to Bass Pro Shops frequently. Used to go down to the boardwalk all the time when there was stuff there to do. So I'm just saying. All right, here we go.
In that parking garage, and we burned down a parking garage and all the cars in it. I don't think we carry enough insurance for all of that. I know that they're at Mall St. Vincent. They're out in the parking lot, out in the open. I'm just wondering if there's a better location that we could do it out in the open where if something, hopefully nothing like that ever happens, but you always have to think about the if.
Sure. We have looked at several locations. We are limited as far as infrastructure because of the amount of voltage they take. And so the boardwalk does have that there, which is part of the reason for the selection of that site. But I don't know. I've not done research on the incidents of them catching on fire while charging. I'm not sure. I guess if that's, if there's an increased risk with that or not.
Did y'all think of an alternate location anywhere else? Or just
listen up.
Like I don't think the boardwalk's up.
We did. We actually really looked at Tinsley where we have the RV park, but we did not have the voltage there. And then additionally, because it was part of the EV corridor, we were limited getting off, the distance away from, I think it has to be within a quarter mile of the interstate. So that was the reason we ultimately landed there.
Do we have something around the city hall?
We don't have any here, no, sir.
We have the voltage here?
So Vince doesn't even know if they have EV charging stations around City Hall. Great comment here, Vince. You're literally a sitting city councilman.
At least he's finally talking.
Oh,
I mean, he's only said a couple of words.
It's powerful. This is the most he's spoken in all the city council meetings, I think. We could go back and we could track the time he spent speaking in every city council meeting. This has got to be his upper limit. All right, here we go.
This is it. He spoke more in this meeting than he has in any meeting and possibly all meetings combined through his whole first term.
Yeah. Our good friend David Johnson, who's been a longtime friend of the show, says, do not put them in a garage anywhere. Now, David, we've had several comments already that they're bringing pickleball out there. I think they're going to have the pickleball up on the top floor, the top deck of that parking garage. It'll be a natural barbecue when these fires that Mr. Hammonds is referring to starts. It'll warm up the concrete and keep everybody up there playing pickleball warm. See, it's a win-win.
All right. Well, let's get moving along here. I got to hear what the king said.
All right, we got to get to Smith, and then it's the king. Here we go.
I would have to get with representatives from SWEPCO and with
I know there's
Steve
some
Ford.
in Horseshoes.
All right, listen.
Horseshoe Casino's parking garage.
Okay.
I think there's 2 or 3 in there.
Have those ever caught on fire?
Huh?
Have those ever caught on fire?
I don't know, have they? I don't work for the fire department.
I don't think so.
I don't work for the fire department. He was literally just telling us how they catch on fire. But good comeback, Hammonds. That was pretty witty. And Smith didn't catch it.
No, it didn't. Well, all right, keep rolling.
Here we go.
I will say we have had some issues with, we have outlets down in the plaza and in different areas where they have been open to the public. We've had to actually secure those because we've had people just pull up and charge. So one of them down at the East Bank Plaza actually showed up on a map as a charging station. So we were working to get that removed and actually get legitimate charging stations installed. So,
as opposed to illegitimate ones.
Are they Tesla superchargers or?
These are DC fast chargers, so they will work
Universal?
with any. Yes, sir. They're going to be mounted on the wall. So we looked at a lot of different options, but like I said, this has been in the works since.
Well, I didn't mark the spot. Just a second.
We're trying to get it wrapped up and
I'm trying to get to it.
moving forward.
Here we go.
Something that we could talk about in the next couple of weeks and figure out if that's the best spot.
Only
Sure,
thing
if
better
we have
would have been if Chris would have said, "Are they sexy Tesla charging stations?" Because one of the Elon Musk, guys like Big Balls was sexy Tesla. That was his username, and they were losing their mind over that too. Anyway,
Hey,
carry on, proceed.
all right, but squirrel moment. Did you hear about the meteor that NASA detected that was supposed to come near Earth? Did you hear about this? I'm being dead serious. It was an unknown.
Are you?
No, and this is related to this. It was an unknown,
Okay.
previously unknown meteor that was headed within near, collision, not necessarily going to hit, but a near collision with Earth. And NASA was worried about it. Then they figured out, I'm not kidding, they figured out that it was actually the Tesla that Elon sent up several years ago on its mission to Mars, that Tesla that he launched with the little dummy guy sitting in the pilot seat. I guess it's making a return trip by Earth. The Tesla was coming home.
No.
This is a true story, folks. I'm not
No, I
making
didn't.
this up. It was on the internet. It must be true.
Yeah, it has to be true.
All right,
Anyway,
here we
carry
go.
on.
Yeah.
Different locations, we can definitely look at those, and it was my mind, I think, if I remember correctly, about $200,000 to get the infrastructure done at Tinsley where it did not have the voltage required, and so it can get pretty costly, and we were trying to stay within the confines of the grant money and not have to, be out of pocket.
Speak up, David.
Anyway, Council.
So this is all it's going to cost us is $75,000?
No.
It's $76,000 is for the two, so the grant's for $75,000, the request is for $80,000, just to make sure we had enough.
That
So-
covers everything.
Yes, sir.
So the point
Here we go.
being is that we're gonna be on the hook for it from now on. And it's true, there's a warranty period, but after that, it, quite frankly, I'm not gonna support this. I believe the liabilities outweigh the benefits.
I understand.
Especially from this day forward.
Finally, you got to hear him speak. He's not on medication anymore.
No, finally, something I agree with him. We're on the
Y'all
same
found
page.
y'all found common ground. And actually, I agree with him too. I don't
damn.
want the city in the EV charging business. I'm fine with EV vehicles and charging systems private.
Well, no, where the hell was he at on the CNG stations? I mean, he was all in on that, but
he ain't gonna make
the
no
reason
insurance money off of this.
the,
See,
well, the
he could have
damn,
stepped up and said, "Wait a minute, we can get adequate insurance coverage for the city for liability in the event of fire or other acts of God." But notice he kept silent because right now he can't write the insurance because he's a city councilman.
why the hell did he not espouse that thought process about the CNG stations? Where, I mean, and now all of a sudden he's fixing to be gone, and now he's going to get right on $75,000 and a grant at that. I mean,
yeah,
that's what I had to get on the same page with him on.
All right. Well, look, miracles never cease, folks. Mr. Lowry has found common ground with Montgomery.
But here's the interesting thing. You want to know what the interesting thing is? Y'all know what the
What's
vote
that?
count was? You know what the vote count was?
Oh, do tell.
There was only one person voted in favor of it.
Really? Let's see.
The Green New Deal Smith.
Wait, hold on. Let's go look at the vote count. You are absolutely right. Look at that, folks.
He apparently
Mr. DEQ EPA himself, Chris Smith, voted for the EV charging stations.
He missed the meeting before the meeting, obviously. He was not there. He did not
He
get
missed
the
it
message.
as let's see, how did they put that? Oh yeah, the circle jerk before the meeting. And I'm if you know, you know.
He obviously didn't make the meeting ahead of time.
Well, look, I got to say, I make fun of Chris every once in a while, although about 90+% of stuff I agree with Mr. Smith. I'll give him a little bit of credit here. He's a little forward thinking. EV is coming. I just don't think the city should be involved in it, Mr. Smith. That's all.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. And hey, I'm just curious. Did you hear Vince talk about Darby's illegal immigration stuff? Did you hear him what he said?
No, I didn't. What did he say about it?
I didn't hear anything either.
Oh,
not today, nor before when they were kicking people out wanting to talk about it. I ain't never heard him say anything. I was just wondering if you heard anything.
Oh, no, I hadn't either. So, but we have been accused of pushing our agenda. And one of those agendas is we're not big fans of Vince Maggio or Jeff Darby. But folks, did y'all know your valiant co-host over there and co-host sitting in this seat, we have an agenda. Did y'all know that?
Let me, well, I will admit I have an agenda. I think you'll admit you have an agenda. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is my agenda personal? No, it's not. And I'll use Vince Maggio as the example. I think a lot of Vince Maggio. I think he is a person. He donates to causes that are worthy causes. Putting the dumpsters in his community to pick up the trash. We joke about it. I think those are all admirable things.
Sure.
But I also I find it more important to have elected officials who stand by their oath, and when they say they're going to do something, they stand behind it. And in the case of Vince Maggio did not uphold his oath of office. He betrayed his oath of office. And to say that, he stands with the people, no, he doesn't. In one council meeting, he said, literally, when they were talking, some of the brief words that he said, he looked to the council and said, I stand with y'all, in response to the speaker suggesting that the council stand with the people. And Vince said he stands with y'all. So I take issue with, I hate that it's Vince, because I think him and Sharon are both great people. But additionally, I've been being told this week that him and his campaign people are going out there saying that he supports term limits. They're going out there telling people, knocking on doors, telling people that they support term limits. He supports term limits. And that's not true.
No, it's not.
That is not true.
We're gonna put together the Vince's greatest hits.
It's a campaign, and I get you want to run from this vote. You want to run from this issue. You want to marginalize it, because it's a known fact that 70 to 80% or higher in different places support term limits. You knew you was fighting for the good old boys and fighting against the people, and you made a bad vote, and now you're having to own it. Well, you're trying to own it by saying you support term limits. It's not true. And we can prove it. Why don't we prove it, Rex? Why don't we prove it?
We can.
The notes. There's a link.
I thought you were actually Sorry. No, I've got it. That's the video right there at the 54:29 mark, right?
Oh no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Memory lane.
Oh, I wasn't all the way down there. Okay. Yeah, the very first one. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I thought I was paying attention, but I was not. Just a second, folks. And yeah, give me just a second. Okay, here we go. Down memory lane. I think this will work. Let me hit a button here and bear with me for just a second. Yes, I think this will work. Here we go. Let's hit publish. And yeah, let's go down memory lane.
Last week, Bossier City Councilman Vince Maggio was asked directly by the Charter Review Commission about his voting records on term limits.
I'm just curious, and I wanted to ask Vince. I know at one vote you were for term limits on the city council, and then the next one you were against. You were against first, and then I think your last vote was for term limits.
If I tell you what I did, you might laugh at it. So much was on my mind. My mother-in-law gets sick. So much. One of my good friends just died. I pushed the wrong button. My mind wasn't at the council. But let me tell you, I'm against term limits.
Mr. Maggio stated he was always against term limits and only voted for term limits once because his mind was not at the council meeting.
I mean,
okay,
there you go.
That's out of his words. He's recorded on tape saying, "I'm against term limits," but yet now him and his campaign people are going door to door telling citizens of Bossier to get their vote that he supports term limits. I that is egregious to me. That's not right.
Well, it is, but here's what we've got to do is we need to enlist the help of everybody watching. And look, all nearly 90 something, bumping 100. If we were on Twitter, we would be over 100 something people watching. Y'all do a fine job every Tuesday night of listening to us do our little soapbox deal, commenting and all that. You do a fine job of sharing this out. But here's what we got to do. We got to educate our neighbors, especially in District 5, our friends and neighbors in District 5, and let everybody know that Vince is a liar. It might be a nice guy, might do wonderful things and put out dumpsters and help folks around his community with his grocery store. That's all fine and good, but he straight up lies. That's it.
Well, I'm not going to call him a liar. I'm going to be politically correct here, and I'm going to say that he is wanting to have his cake and eat it too. He's wanting to, in one group of people, say he's against it, and then now with another group of people, his voters say that he's for it to get a vote. Is that, I mean, that's the kind of politicians that we've been electing that's got us into trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. It's the same old thing. And if people want to, and you know, I mean, look, the people of that district, that there's some smart cookies up there.
Well,
And
look,
you got
here's how he can spin this. Not to interrupt you, here's how he can spin this. Because we all know, and again, I'm going to post the snippet of Colonel Crockett because he did a fine job of giving a summary of the term limits saga, a brief summary of it. But Vince was a part of the cabal that took the Charter Commission and twisted it around. Then they did the watered version of term limits. We all know that story and that saga. And then Vince can honestly say, oh, I voted for term limits because I voted for the Charter Commission. But that's a deceitful thing to say. What he did was vote to thwart the will of the people through the petition process. That's what he did. He didn't really vote for term limits. He didn't really vote for the whole new charter. He was voting to thwart the will of the people. It's obvious from their public statements and actions. Period.
Yeah, and if anyway,
yeah.
like Rusty said at the PEC meeting, he's got two of the best lawyers in Northwest Louisiana.
Hey, yeah.
I mean, so does that make
Richard Ray and Charles Jacobs? They're willing to fill out his candidate affidavit form for him.
Allegedly.
No, not allegedly. We got the documents. They literally signed and notarized it. There's no allegedly.
Well, but they filled it all out, but whether or not it's his signature or not,
I didn't say they signed it for him. I said they filled it out for him. Literally, their names are written in there, and it's signed by Richard Ray and signed and notarized by Charles Jacobs. There's no denying that. It's
I
a
agree
fact.
with that. I'm not disputing that, but filled it out. I assume you were suggesting that they signed his name as well too.
Oh,
Well, you don't know that.
I don't care whether they signed his name or not, because even if they did, they were in his presence, and maybe he had an IV stuck in his arm. He directed them to sign it on his behalf, which was signed and notarized and witnessed by multiple people. I don't care whether they signed his name or he signed it. It's the appearance of you have the city attorney, the assistant city attorney doing things on behalf of a candidate, arguably while on the city payroll. They didn't do this on their day off.
I agree.
Okay.
You know,
did they offer this service? Hold on a second. I am on my soapbox for a second.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Soapbox.
So, any other candidates that are out there watching the show right now, did the city attorney and assistant city attorney offer free services to fill out a candidate affidavit form for you, have it notarized in your presence, and drive it to Benton and pay the fee? Granted, Vince handed him the cash or whatever under Richard's own statements. Did they offer that service to any other candidate in this race? Yes or no? On the city dime. They didn't do this after hours. They didn't do this on a Saturday on their day off. It was done, if memory serves me correctly, on a Friday or Thursday? Thursday evening. Late Thursday afternoon.
Well, wait a minute. Jessica Maddox brings up a good point, and an attorney that works for the DA. So was he working for the city time? Was he working for DA time? Exactly which time was he working?
He sent
what exactly is their hours or time of work for the city of Bossier? Because
we
is
showed
it 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, or when exactly is it?
All right, time out, folks. We already showed the email reply from Richard Ray to Ryan Haygood, where Richard opined about how great a friend Vince was, and he was in need, and Richard had to do this for him and would gladly do it again, blah, 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 blah. Richard sent it from his city email address, not from his personal, and in the signature it said Richard Ray, Assistant City Attorney. I'm not making this up. We showed all this.
I know we did. I know we did, and those are valid points. To which he would just say, that was an accident. I probably shouldn't have sent it from right then and there." But what I would say is to the question of their work and when they work on city time or when they work on other time or what have you, I know that that's been a question among other councilmen, not just the ones that we regularly associate with or talk to or have communications with, about the amount of time that the city attorney and the assistant city attorney either do or don't work on city stuff down there, drawing a salary from the city.
And not just that, they raised their salaries.
Well, that's right. But I want to go back. It would seem that maybe that's something that you could consider amending in the city charter, is about how they work, when they work, or whatever. But wait a minute, that's right. That wasn't going to happen because the assistant city attorney was sitting there guiding, holding, steadying the whole process.
Oh,
And you had best friends Juliana Parks and Vicky Whitman, and by the way, there's nothing in the charter about the city marshal's office nor the city judge. There's nothing about those offices either.
Well, and Richard Ray literally guided them through a secret ballot process. Literally did it in an open public meeting that was streamed and is still on YouTube as we speak.
But that's the process that Vince supports, not the process of petition where thousands and thousands of people, but rather where appointed bureaucrats, like in Washington, D.C., with all of these, you said, and these different organizations appointed that have been fleecing all of us taxpayers. That's the preferred method for city councilmen in Bossier. That's their preferred method. But I go back to it's inexcusable to go out there and to say you support term limits or to say that you're against illegal immigration when your record clearly shows on video and in writing that you supported totally different positions, and your positions ironically change to where the majority of people are while you're in the course of an election. It's hypocrisy to the end. At least own your position. Don't try to deceive the public. Don't. I mean, just be a man and suck it up.
Well, look, not to interrupt you, but I was having a conversation with a mutual friend, and I said, look, one of the things about both you and I, we're the same in person as we are behind this mic and this camera. No different.
Nope.
The same people. And I think that might be part of the popularity of our show, whether people agree with us or not, is that if you meet us in person, we're the same people that we are behind the mic and the camera. I think most people can attest to that. But that's different than these, to use your term, jackwagons who are one way in public, one way in private, one way behind closed doors, depending on their agenda, blah, blah, blah. You and I don't have an agenda here. Our agenda has been the same since day one, to show the side of politics in Bossier that people don't typically see or think about or know that goes on. And for 245 plus shows, we've been pulling back the curtain, so to speak, with the help of a lot of other people.
Now, Francis brings up a really good point. And it talks about, I mean, they're talking about District 5 down around Maggio's Grocery, I'm assuming, and down in that area, that it's in horrible shape and needs to be, some work and repairs and stuff done. Now, we talked about in a previous show, in fact, I mean, it was a long time ago. I remember when we first heard about the fact that Vince bought trash dumpsters and put down there for the local citizens, we praised him for it. I mean, kind of going out of your way. But to Francis's point, Francis, again, I've known Vince a long time. I think he is a benevolent person. I think he truly is a good man. But I think he makes some mistakes. And in this case, as the elected official of that district, he shouldn't have to be coming out of his pocket to get trash dumpsters down there in that community. He should
Amen.
have he should have used his political position as the representative of District 5 to get something done. But he didn't get anything done. He didn't use that position. He sat up there for 4 years. He hardly uttered a word. His main goal was to please David Montgomery and to vote with David Montgomery. I'll bet they didn't hardly have a cross vote. I bet if we went back and looked at all the votes, I bet he voted with David Montgomery 100% of the time. I bet you.
Probably so. Probably
I mean,
so.
so the people of District 5, I mean, has he and his family done a wonderful job in keeping that store in that community and enabling people to be able to have a place to go, to where they don't have to have a car because, you don't have like a Walmart right there. You don't have a Brookshire's or whatever. Is that a service? Is that a benefit? Yeah, it absolutely is. And he and his family deserve all the credit in the world. Oldest store in Bossier City, hands down. But, your charitableness and being a good person, that doesn't make you a good politician. And it doesn't give you the right to ignore the citizens of Bossier, thousands of citizens that simply want to vote on something, especially when the law says you shall do this and take this action. Who the hell do you or any of these guys think they are that they can just piss on the leg of everybody in Bossier City that signed that petition? And anyway,
Yeah.
I'll stop
Folks,
so I can take a breath.
it's not, remember, we've said this ad nauseum. It's not just about the petition. It's about breaking the law. They literally did that multiple times. Now, Haygood is reminding us, so we'll go double check, but he's most likely right. He says he voted against the tennis court, but 99.9% with the Queen. So he didn't vote for the tennis court because it wasn't going to be in his district.
That's true. Good point. That is a good vote.
Yeah. All right. What else, Mr. Lowry?
I don't know. Let me go back to these notes. Dadgummit. I had something in here somewhere or whatever. Oh, yeah. Now, I had a link up there, the 5429 mark.
Yes.
And there's some of you out there that obviously you've got problems with your hearing. And there's some of you out there that I don't know what the hell you're thinking. And if I had not heard it with my own ears, I wouldn't believe it. But anyway, I just let's play that at the 5429 mark.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to open this up to the council first because I'm sure there's a lot of questions. So, Mr. Free.
No, you were in the mid, you were trying to say something to their response. Do you remember?
You did look like you were going to say something, but you let Mr. Montgomery finish.
If it were sustainable.
Yeah, I can remind you.
Right, after the 4 or 5 years to have a recurring type of
Right.
revenue to continue.
You'd agree with that?
But,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
I do.
Go ahead. I'll let you cut in front of me.
I'm not putting you on the spot, Angel. You were very hesitant on that. I'm a very good facial reader. I mean, it just seems to me like after 5 years, we're going to drain the entire general fund budget.
Listen up.
Well, I
would like you to answer that question.
Yes, it's hard to know what's going to happen sales tax wise and revenue wise, but I don't know, over 5 million a year is a lot for the.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of money. And to go back to the parity, and all you guys in here, don't take this the wrong way. I mean, this is just real life right here. I understand, giving it to the police and then giving the same thing to the fire, but that is not parity when it comes to the pay structure at the fire department and the police department. It's not parity when it comes to people that control. We have three things that are very vital to this city. One is our water department, and two is our police department, and three is our fire department. That's what keeps this city running. And we still have, even with $500 a month going to them, we still have people in the water department, according to our salary study, that are grossly underpaid. The people that control water going to over 100,000 people a day. Even with that, even with $6,000 a year. Right now, we're, 25 people short at the police department. We just graduated 13 from the fire department. To me, I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm a CPA. I'm not. I'm not, but I can balance a checkbook. I don't see how this is sustainable. I mean, the only way, if this is not sustainable, the one thing we're going to have to do in the years to come, we're going to have to lay people off, and we're going to have to raise taxes. That's the only way that we're going to make this up. And then we're going to look back, and we've got $40-something million gone out of the general budget, and we're going to be bankrupt, in my opinion.
Yes, either that or move more money from, that's going to capital to operating.
Ding, 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 ding.
Are you done, Mr.
So
Daniels?
you can stop it there. So what we're talking about is the pay raises that the fire and the police got, that Montgomery did, the $500 across the board. You just heard the lady there. She didn't want to say it because she was intimidated and scared of Montgomery. Let's just call it like it is. That she's scared to speak, and she didn't want to acknowledge and say that it's unsustainable. And so for some of you out there in public safety that you obviously don't understand this concept, shame on you. Shame on you for not realizing that you've got a temporary patch here, and and you know what, maybe I have to tell you. Well, no, I don't have to tell you. It's pretty damn embarrassing. It's pretty damn embarrassing. Nothing has changed. Doing the same old thing that you've always done, and to say that you're going to do things different, you're not doing nothing different. It's the same game, different dance. And just revolving chairs. Anyway, I am talking in circles here. I'm going to have to get out of this, but what else you got?
Honestly, not much else tonight. We have been so busy doing 1,000 different things. It's hard. It's hard to try to stay focused on one little thing because there are so many things going on at once.
So I want to, hey, do you ever read any of the Federalist Papers?
Yes, it's been a while.
So there's one, Federalist 51. There's one particular in there, and I pulled it out right here, and I haven't read it. And I wanted to read it to people because it's so true. And what we see here in Bossier City is exactly what they were talking about, and Publius, as you know, was what several of the founders, they wrote under the alias of Publius. And here's the quote: "What is government itself but the greatest of all reflections on human nature? If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary." That's the case. And Bossier, we don't have angels in Bossier. And people who are angels, they go in there and they change. Government changes them. So we have to just completely change it out every now and then, no matter what. That thing about the tree of liberty needs, refreshing every now and then.
Right.
It needs refreshing in Bossier. It needs refreshing more than what it has so far. We've got 2 left that need to go because they want to stick with the old ways. The electing mayors in the freezers of stores, and I he's one of us, or I'm with you or y'all, or not with the people. It's about the people, and we got to quit doing this bad government thing. And the only way we're going to do it is you got to elect people who their why is pure, and it's about bettering our community. It's that simple. And if you can't analyze the candidates and you can't see right through what they're doing to you, maybe you shouldn't be voting. And if you're those people that are just going to sit on your couch and not do nothing, well, that's somebody else's problem. You may need to move to Mexico or somewhere because you're part of the problem too. You might even be worse than the bad politicians because you're allowing it to happen.
Back
Anyway.
over the wall for you.
Yep. I'm done. I'll quit.
I'll try to close this out on a slightly positive note because everything you said is absolutely correct. But we've been doing this show, technically we're in our 5th season. So we've been doing it over 4 years, 245 plus, a lot more if you count Louisiana Watch Side 2 and all that. And I'm actually a little bit excited because for the first time we're making a difference. Not just you and I, all of us together, everybody watching, everybody sharing, everybody showing up at the meetings, everybody emailing their councilman, everybody signing the DA malfeasance letter, all those sorts of things.
Even Jeff Sadow and his articles in Bossier Now, they're making a difference.
Well, they've made all the difference in the world. If it hadn't been for them, none of this would have ever happened. Anyway, but I digress. I'm trying to stay positive, darn it, Duke. So here's the deal. For the first time in a long time, I am actually a little bit encouraged about our local government, that there is a difference being made, and the difference isn't being made just by Duke and Rex every Tuesday night. The difference is being made by a large collection of people, hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of people that watch the videos, have walked the streets, show up at the meetings, email, comment, post, do all those sorts of things. Literally, you've got 3 of the good old boys who stepped out. That's a positive sign. You're right. We got 2 more to go, and we're going to keep plugging at it every Tuesday night. And we're going to start, before too long, some Bossier term limits shows once in a while, not nearly as edgy, much more fact-based, but I think we need to do that and kind of get the message out some, even after campaign season is over for the city council and all that. So, there we go. Any other comments? Yeah, Keel, Jessica Langley Maddox. I forgot to mention Keel Radio. Robert and Mike and McCarty. Mike and McCarty have even been big in the game. John Fleming.
John Settle.
John Settle. Yes, John Settle. John Fleming. All these people that have been a part of this and pushing this forward, it's it's given me a little bit of a ray of hope for our local government.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, somebody messaged me, said, when is the parish the target? When we're done
Coming
with
up.
when we're done with the city.
We've taken a few shots across the bow, but those are just the warning shots. It's coming soon.
Anyway, I've got nothing else. I mean, look, you got 2 good candidates in those 2 races, Deborah Ross and my good friend Ruth Pope Johnson. You've got 2 people that are doing it for the right reasons. They want to serve their community and nothing more. They don't want anything else out of it than just to serve. And that is they should get an opportunity. To the female folks watching, I think it's been over 30 years since there's been a female council person.
Nah, think about that.
It may be more than that. Wanda Bennett was the last one to serve, last female to serve on the council. Look, one thing I'll say, women have a knack that men don't. Typically, we don't pay attention to detail. And I admit that, at least in my case. I think it's always a good thing to have a woman in the mix. That they see things in a different way that men don't always see. It's just the way it is. It's kind of like the race cars with NASCAR. You know, if you ever go drive at one of the NASCAR races, when you go up there, the instructors, they will tell you, they'll say, all right, if you do this is kind of the average lap speeds, and there will be men and women mixed in the class, like 100 people, and everybody takes their turn. And they'll tell you, they say the women are going to do better than the men. And all the men are like, what? Nah, they would do better. But the point is, the women always do better because they listen and follow the instruction of the instructor, whereas the men don't.
Yeah, you're right. Go to any shooting range. The women generally do better than the men. They listen to instruction, and you're right, they're very detail oriented.
All right, somebody messaged me and said no, Faye Rawls and Coy Cooper. I had to look that up. Faye Rawls and Coy Cooper. I remember them.
Might have been, that's definitely before my Bossier time, or at least my paying attention to Bossier politics time. While you're pondering on that for a second, so I want to go down the list, and you're right, Cindy Ulrich, Wes Marriott with Sobo Live too. He has been very instrumental in this movement, so it's a long list of people. Want to make sure, and I've been posting this, so I'm just going to call it out. Ruth Pope Johnston, District 5. Chris Smith, at large. Creighton Cochran, at large. You vote for 2 of the at large candidates. So we want to do Chris Smith and Creighton Cochran. Cliff Smith in District 3. And then, of course, Miss Deborah Ross in District 2. Hell no for Lee Jeter, the turncoat. He's running for at large. No way Lee Jeter. And of course, we're not big fans of Mr. Darby, and we're certainly not fans of Vince Maggio. There are punching bags.
Yep. Deborah Ross and Ruth Pope Johnson, Cliff Smith, Chris Smith, and none other than Clayton Cochran.
Those are our choices. You make your own mind up. All right. What else, Mr. Lowry?
That's all I got.
That's all we can make fun of tonight. All right, folks, y'all know the drill. Tag, share, like, do all that good stuff. We so much appreciate all the help from Pelican Training and Consulting, Acadiana Mortgage over there, that way. If you need any mortgage advice or help, call Kara and reach out to Duke.
Got some people refinancing. Rates are jumping around a little bit.
All right, there you go.
If you're thinking about it.
If you need some tech help or social media help, hit me up, and I'll be glad to help you out if I can. That's pretty much it.
D.D. White Clark, careful.
She
said it. Trouble. She's baiting us.
She's baiting us. I'll say it. See you next Tuesday. There we go.
See you then.